Hey, welcome to Hustle Faithfully podcast, where determination meets devotion.
Follow us on YouTube at youtube.com/ at Hustle Faithfully. Also, find us on all of the major podcast streaming platforms. We're picking up the discussion that we began last week about undoing bad habits.
Mhm. And our discussion today will take place. The hinge scripture that we use today will be Ephesians 4:22 through 24. What that says is to put off your old self, which belongs to your former manner of life and is corrupt through deceitful desires, and to be renewed in the spirit of your mind, and to be put on and to put on the new self, created after the likeness of God in true righteousness and holiness. The first part of that in verse 22 is where I really want to start. We really want to start, which is to put off your old self, which belongs to your former manner of life and is corrupt through deceitful desires.
Right. As we talked about last week, this is really a 4-step process. Number one is you review your life, you review what you need to change,
Mhm.
you review what bad habits you need to undo. Number two is you replace those bad habits with positive reinforcements.
Mhm.
Our life is filled up with 24 hours a day, no matter who you are, no matter what you do, we all have the same amount of time. So when you take something out of your life, it's not like that time just disappears.
Right.
You still must fill it in with something else.
Yeah, you must.
So you review what you want to change, then you replace the negative with a positive.
Mhm.
And step three, to carry on with this and going in line with the verse that you read us, is you must reinforce what you have replaced that
Mhm.
negative habit with.
Yeah. And when you're talking about reinforcing, it's important to take that replace and partner it with reinforce consistently, because if you don't replace it with the right thing, you will only be reinforcing the bad habits that you had previously. You can't leave that space devoid of we talk about positives. Well, that positive had to be anchored to something that's absolute, that doesn't move, and that's truth, because the negative is tied to a lie. So what truth? And that's why we're reading from the Bible. What truth are you replacing that lie with? Because what you can't do is take away the thing that, or stop doing the thing that you were doing, and not replace
Right.
that with something that you can now anchor to. So there'll be moments where something will happen that will shake your newfound confidence in this new habit you're attempting to develop. But if there's not any place to land that continues to reinforce this new habit with something that you can believe, that gives you that habit momentum, then you'll fall back into that bad habit.
That's right. So finding the replacement for that habit. And then when you reinforce it, how do you do that? You do it time after time after time.
Hmm.
When you first make a change, it may seem like you're doing it wrong,
Right.
and you may be.
Right.
Yet, when you keep going for it, when you keep pushing ahead, when you keep reinforcing what you're doing,
Right.
it will continue to grow and it will become a habit.
Yeah.
At a location I used to live at, I recall there was a side road
Hmm.
from the main road that could get me home much quicker than continuing to follow the path of the main road.
Right.
And I vividly remember thinking, whenever I come to that, once I
Mhm.
get in the habit of turning there, it will be second nature. I won't think a thing of it. Yet it was reinforcing just continuing to drive straight as I had been
Mhm.
versus making that left hand turn or right hand turn, whichever way I'm coming from.
Right.
I remember one day I passed it and then I looked in my rearview mirror, nothing was coming. So I kicked my vehicle in reverse. I
Mhm.
backed up and I took the turn.
Right.
That reminded me from then on to turn there. Instead of just
Mhm.
saying, "Oh, I'll do it next time," I
Right.
stopped right then. I was in a safe position, even though it may have been breaking the law. I was in a safe position to do what I needed to do.
Right.
And from that point on, I don't think that I ever missed that turn again.
Mm-hmm.
I remember thinking, once I get used to it, it'll be habit.
Right.
We are inherently creatures of habits as human beings. When you are looking to redo your schedule, let's
Mm-hmm.
just say, when you're looking to change your life schedule, your work schedule, your every schedule around,
Right.
it's going to seem like you are missing stuff all
Right.
along the way.
Mm-hmm.
And here's my challenge to you when you're in a situation like that.
Mm-hmm.
Look at those things that you are not doing that
Right.
were oh so important
Mm-hmm.
and see how much it changes life.
Right.
If you didn't do it and nothing in life really changed,
Mm-hmm.
was it really that important to begin with?
Right. Right.
Of what we do, there's 20% max that's really advancing us to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
The other 80% is busy work to make us feel fulfilled.
Right.
How do some of the very well known people in the world let's pick on Elon Musk. How is he able to accomplish so much in 24 hours
Right.
and accomplish more in a 24-hour period than most people accomplish in a month or 2 months or a year?
Mm-hmm.
Because he knows what his 20% is. He knows what he has to focus on, and he has people handling the rest of it.
Right.
There are those things, though, that you just have to let go of, and you have to continually to reinforce that, no, this is okay that I didn't do this.
Right.
This is okay that I'm giving A up to accomplish X. It's okay that I am changing life around and making a difference in life.
Mm-hmm.
Do you need to pull back some of what you're doing in a business? Do you need to pull back some of what you're doing with friends? Do you need to pull back just casual fun time?
Mm-hmm.
And when you do that, then you can invest that time into your husband or your wife, into your kids.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when it's like, will people fade away? Probably.
Right.
But those that are important, those that are there for the long haul, they'll still be around.
Mm-hmm.
You got to constantly push and say, you know what? This is not something that I can do right now. I have a business partner that we have been working on getting together now for weeks.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I was with him in his hometown. He lives about 6 hours of driving time away from me. And I was with him a couple weeks ago, and we got almost nothing done, even though I was down there all weekend. Frustrating? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yet, his son had a race. He's a race car driver, and he had a race that took Daddy's attention,
Right.
as it should. But you have to completely know where you're headed, what you're doing, and where your focus needs to go, and continue to reinforce it even when it doesn't feel right. You have somebody down here, you have a business partner down here that's in town for you, essentially, but yet family still comes first.
Right. Well, you better prioritize your family
Right.
because there are things in our life that come and go regularly. I mean, life in and of itself is here one minute and gone the next. Relationships in our life at times are transitory, like money. It comes in and then it's gone. But there are certain relationships and certain aspects of these relationships that we have to prioritize because there's relationships that have to endure the test of time.
Right.
From whether it's childhood till now, whether it's a mother, a father, or a son, a daughter, or whether it's someone like the friends that you have that you were in Florida with. There are certain people in certain relationships where you can't take something that someone is doing that's personally beneficial for them personal because it affects you personally,
Right.
because it causes you to see things a certain way. And then you'll get into, which a lot of us have at times, you get into the habit of judging something the wrong way because of how you're seeing it. And that becomes a bad habit in and of itself, and that causes you to fracture relationships that honestly shouldn't have been fractured
For sure.
because you chose to see it a certain way. And then the thing that adds salt to the wound is you won't take the time to have the conversation, which will shed light on something that you viewed wrongly, and you realize, it was me. It
Mhm.
wasn't them.
That's right.
They should have done what they did. As a matter of fact, I should be assessing where in my life I'm not prioritizing
That's right.
something properly so I can now break two bad habits. The one where I'm looking at something wrong and judging someone accordingly to incomplete information, and the thing that I'm doing where I'm neglecting doing the same thing that they're doing that they should be doing,
Mhm.
that I'm now in a process of having to review, replace, and now reinforce a new habit.
That's right.
So that what you said was so important because it made me think about the first thing you talked about when you said you were talking about driving past or making a wrong turn, and you were able to look behind you, knew there was no cars coming, and then back up. The thing about it is we can be going so fast sometimes that we miss the opportunity to learn in situations like we were talking about with your friend prioritizing.
Right.
We can be moving so fast wanting to get things done, we don't get to back up because in life there isn't always an ideal situation where once you miss something to go back.
Right.
you
You're
know
absolutely right.
there is traffic behind you, so to speak. So you actually prolong a season in your life unnecessarily because now I can't back up. I have to go all the way up, to go all the way out the way,
Mhm.
loop back around, and then come back around to the same place where I just had the opportunity to pull in
That's right.
because I wanted something so bad. I was moving so fast that I can end up actually delaying my own deliverance from a bad habits or a situation that I've been in that I had the opportunity to take advantage of a relationship, some interaction that I had, an opportunity that was put in front of me, but I missed them all because I was so focused on the destination that I missed the cues along the route that told
Right.
me, hey, turn right,
That's right.
call John, text so and so. No, I got to go. I'm trying to get there. You're missing the cues though. That's a bad habit. That's one that we're working to help people break.
That's funny because I was about to say, how many people, how many of our viewers, how many of our listeners do you think that may be their bad habit?
Yeah.
They are moving so fast and so rapidly through life.
Mhm.
They're moving so fast to get to that end destination
Mhm.
that they miss everything along the way.
Right.
Because the reality is the end destination
Mhm.
is the graveyard.
Yeah.
There is no end destination prior to that.
Mhm.
Because you start your business and you
Right.
say, I want to make it to X amount of sales per year. You make it there, then what?
Right.
Do you shut down your business because you made it and say, I accomplished it, let's move on?
Right.
Or do you increase that one more time?
Mhm.
In my services business that I have owned for 20 years, I have increased it so many times because I hit that goal. I hit that goal. I hit the next goal. I kept hitting the goals.
Mhm.
And I was speaking with someone yesterday about that company. And I said, you know what? I accomplished everything in that company that I set out to do. Even with increasing each time,
Right.
I hit those goals every single
Mhm.
time. So, what if I was so focused on, and one of my goals with that company was to hit $1 million a year in sales.
Right.
What if I was so focused on that? And let's just play this did not happen with that company. However, what if I started that company today and 18 months later I hit that $1 million thing,
Right.
that $1 million goal?
Mhm.
Am I done?
Right.
Or am I moving so fast that I say, yes, great, I accomplished it. Now let me go retire. Not that
Mhm.
$1 million is going to retire anybody,
Right.
but do you keep pushing? Is that the bad habit that you may need to work on? Is you need to review exactly what the goals were.
Mhm.
You need to go back and pick up and say, okay, great. I accomplished this goal far faster than what I could have ever imagined in my life.
Right. Right.
So then you take on another goal.
Yeah.
You increase it. You review it. You find what it is. You say, okay, a review is not always a bad thing.
Right.
A review can be a very, very beautiful thing.
Very.
And what if your review comes back and says, check, you did everything great?
Mhm.
But it may not. It may say, you know what? You have a lot of room to grow and expand. and increase. That's great too.
Yeah.
Because now you know where you're headed. Now you know what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then you get to that place where you have reviewed those goals. You have reviewed what you need to do. You've replaced the bad with the good.
Mm-hmm.
You've replaced the good with the better.
Mm-hmm.
You've reinforced it. Then what do you do after that?
Right.
What is your next step once you've done all that?
Well, the thing that you were just saying when you talked about the reviewing and then replacing, I think it's important to, because sometimes we can think that we aren't something that God says we are,
Right.
because the things that we are doing as believers, we're to be doing it one according to how God created us and what He's given us to do and how He directed us. But we're supposed to do these things in a manner that glorifies Him. So we'll sometimes see ourselves beneath or below whatever God has said about us because we have history that says, I fail a lot.
Right.
Or you keep hearing people say, I don't do well in these settings, or I shouldn't set my expectations too high. Kind of expect less. That way you can't be disappointed. Well, when you talk about reaching a goal before you intended to reach it, you can convince yourself that I can't do any better than that. I better be happy where I am. You talked about reviewing and replacing. Well, what I need to do now, I need to reassess what my goals were to begin with. Because maybe I was dreaming too small.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I need to replace the $1 million with, if I reached it in 6 months and I thought it would be 18 months, maybe I need to aim for 3 million.
Right.
In your mind, you say, well, maybe that's too high. Maybe it's too high, but maybe it's too low.
Right.
Because the
Right.
million was too low. Maybe the 3 million is too low. So now I need to replace this idea that I'm less than what God has said I am,
Absolutely.
rather than accepting the fact that I'm actually greater than I know I am because of Him. So I need to replace this old substandard idea and expectation with one that's too big for me to accomplish in my own mind. Because anything that any goal that I should set, it should be something that I myself feel it's too big for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I partner with God, and God delivers me to that place because I could never do it without Him.
There you go. There you go. Something that I came up with some time ago that I love to tell people is, if your dream is not scary to you, if it does not scare you, then it's probably an insult to God.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, the thing is, we come into our dreams and our goals with our finite mind.
Mm-hmm.
And even when it seems way out of reach,
Right.
for whatever reason, it's not what you were born into. It's not what you're accustomed to. You've never seen those numbers that whatever. You've never
Right.
seen it before. Is it too big for you? Maybe right now.
Right now. Yeah.
But you have a God that all He has to do is kick you off a little bit of His street, because He walks on the streets paved with gold.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. You have nothing to worry about with any of this. You go, and God has your back. So long as you're in line with His word, God has your back.
Yeah. By faith, you partner with God. You partner with God in the areas of your faith, because you got to put your faith where you've placed your words. If I have said something, if I have said a thing, I need to put my faith wherever it is that I have spoken. Now, not mind you, it has to be something where I've spoken this idea, this thing that God has given me, or this dream that I have. I had to speak this thing in the sense that I put it out there and I continue to say it, because what I have to do is condition my mind to believe it. Because if I'm saying it enough, I'm hearing it enough, I'm writing it down enough, you begin to believe it, because all you're hearing and all you're seeing and all you're saying is the same thing. And I began to consult with God. Now, mind you, we should consult with God at the onset, but there are things where God will give us wisdom because we've been walking with Him. I give you wisdom to make that decision. Leave me out of this. I've already given you everything I'm going to give you. You make the right decision. And then you bring these things to me, because I've given you the ability to choose or to do so on your own. And when I say on your own, I mean in the sense that God has grown you. When you partner with Him, God has grown you, and He's taught you, and He's imparted things to you. He's gifted you in certain ways. And so use what I've given you. And now you do all you can in the area you're supposed to do, and you'll get to a point where you hit your head on the ceiling, of where you're limited. Then it's like, my turn.
Right.
It's like, now, God, I have to give this to you because I've done all I can. Now I want you to rest and watch me work. I'm going to show you now what I had planned, but you had to get here first, because you was believing too small. You telling me, Lord, can you do so and so? Lord, help me, help me. He's like, you're not where you need to be, so I can help you. You have to
Right.
do. I'll do the things you can't do for you, but I will not do the things that you won't do for you.
Ooh,
You know,
wow.
so that's how we have to walk into this. What is it that God is saying to do that I'm not doing, and what is it He's telling me to stop doing that I am doing? That's huge.
That's deep. Say that one more time. I will do for you.
Yeah, I'll do for you the things you can't do for you, but I won't do for you the things you won't do for you.
Wow. That right there, in and of itself, when you really put the practicalities behind it, that alone is a life changing mic drop statement.
Mhm.
That's incredible. So when you are putting your effort in, when you are doing what you are supposed to do, when
Yeah.
you are doing your portion of everything,
Mhm.
and you've reinforced it, so that means you reinforce it one time and you're good. Never touch it again, right? Never touch it again.
I wish it was that easy to be able to just do it that one time and you're done. But you have to, it's the consistency. You have to be intentional about it and consistent about it. Like there's sacrifices that you got to make, and you got to make them consistently.
Right.
There are certain principles you have to obey. You have to obey them consistently. Like there's so many things you have to do constantly, because it's like there's an active state of walking this out. It's not a passive thing, so I can't do it once and be done. It's like if I said it today, I got to say it tomorrow.
Right.
If I prayed about it today, I need to pray about it tomorrow. If I took the steps today, I need to take steps
That's
that
right.
partner with these tomorrow. 2 steps today will only be 2 steps tomorrow if I don't take any tomorrow. That's it. The 2 steps I took today would just be the same place I am. But I have to partner with the following day. So 2, that's 4, and so on and so on. So the journey is an accumulation of steps,
That's
an
right.
accumulation of activity over a period of time. It's not I did it today. So what? Like you still got work to do.
That's right.
So you keep pushing. You keep
That's right.
moving.
So you 4 steps to this process of undoing bad habits. Number
Mhm.
1, review.
Mhm.
Number 2,
Replace.
number 3 is reinforce. So that means number 4 is
Repeat.
repeat. Do it over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
You don't just call one client
Yeah.
and ask them to be your client and then you say, "Good, I'm done."
Right.
You call another one the next day, you call another one the next day, you call 2 today, 2 tomorrow,
Mhm.
2 the next day. You just keep going.
Yeah. Yeah.
You keep going until you get that yes
Right.
instead of the no's, and let the no's drag you down and disappoint you. You keep pushing through until somebody says yes, and then the
Mhm.
next person says yes, and then the next person says yes.
Mhm.
Um, it will continue to grow, whatever it is for you,
Mhm.
whatever the word it means to each and every individual listener or viewer. You just got to keep pushing, keep going.
You absolutely do. And the thing I want to add to that is even when it comes to the nose, change how you look at no's, because a well placed, well timed no, it could be as good as any yes
Yeah.
you could ever get. Because if you receive a no because you're in a place where maybe you aren't ready for what it is you're wanting to do, then that's a sign that, hey, I need to continue to grow, I need to learn, I need to improve, whatever it is. That's not a rejection.
Right.
That's an opportunity to learn. So how about I look at this and I write down the things that I want, but then do look at the no's as motivation. Let me know I'm not as close to the mark as I want to be. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to set a goal. My goal is to get X number of no's in a row. And if I get, and mind you, nobody want to hear no's. But the thing is, if you don't want to hear the no's, you set a goal that my goal is to hear 10 no's in a row. And
Right.
if I do, okay,
That's right.
obviously this isn't for me. I'm done. Because you'll do the work because you don't want to hear no's. But the goal is to hear them because it tells you I still got work to do. I got work to do. And you get to a point where you get so good they can't deny you anymore. All you're getting is yeses because every no motivated you to not hear another
That's
one.
right.
But the goal is to hear them because it motivates you. Yes, So you keep going. Every time I hear, okay. Every time I hear, okay. Because I'm determined not to get to 10 because I don't want to quit.
That's right.
But if you do, you're not doing the work, and maybe you need to step back, review. replace. What was it? Wasn't it
Reinforce.
reinforce and repeat? It's not reinforcing what you're doing wrong. The no says reinforce the things that you've done right and add to them.
Right. And it's all about just continuing on the path, just pushing forward each and every single day. With everything, consistency is key.
It is.
You must start. I was reading something, actually, I was listening to something from Mr. Bean, who we all know, YouTube sensation, huge following.
Right.
He was talking about put out your first video, put out your first 100 videos. He said, you're probably going to get no views on them anyway, but just keep doing it.
Right.
And I have I have a mentor that we are actually going to have his right-hand man on this podcast very, very soon. I'm looking forward to that. He has a podcast and he has all types of things, mega business. I mean, he does fantastic. And I was listening to him within the past month, and he said, when I first started doing my podcast, nobody listened.
Right.
Nobody listened to that podcast. Nobody heard it. I got no listeners. I got no views. I got nothing. Now it's booming.
Right.
Yet it took him repeating the process each and every single week, putting out another episode when nobody's listening to that episode, when nobody's watching that episode. It's almost a thing of, is it worth doing when nobody's watching, when nobody's listening? I'm here to pour information in and to help people better their life. I'm here to inspire people to move to the next level. Yet nobody's listening. I'm wasting my time. Until you're not. And when that pendulum swings, when it's all a thing of now people cannot consume enough of your information.
Right.
Yeah, you've put up 52 of these things a year. And you've been doing it for 4 years before anybody started listening. That means that the person that comes in and the person after that and all the people that come in, they don't start from scratch. They start with a library of 200 plus episodes where they can go back. And little did you know, when you thought nobody was watching, when you thought nobody was paying attention, all of a sudden you're pouring into people in ways that you could have never dreamed of doing so before.
Right.
Your content, your message, it is getting through to people. It is helping people.
Right.
Is it doing it right this second? Maybe, maybe not. Yet, if you quit, you're guaranteed to not help. You're guaranteed to not inspire. You're guaranteed to not help people move forward. What's it take of you to continue? Yeah, it gets disappointing sometimes, no doubt.
Right.
Yet, when you say, you know what, there is a greater good to this.
Yeah. There absolutely is. I mean, if you're just doing it just for how it makes you feel, that's not good enough.
That's right.
Like I feel good when I do this, or I want to look like that person, or John, or whoever it is. You can't do it because of how it makes you feel or how it looks, the optics, because at the end of the day, they only matter to a certain degree. But at the end of when it's all said and done, they're hollow, they're shallow. They're a substitute for the substance you may be lacking. But there's a much greater reason why we should do the things that we do. We have stewardship. We're both husbands, we're both fathers. We have responsibilities that are far greater than ourselves.
That's right.
And it's responsibilities that on our own we can't do in the way that God intends for us to do. He's given us stewardship over our time, our treasury, our talents, and our resources. We're supposed to steward well over all of those 4 core stewardship responsibilities. It's our responsibility to do that. So guess what? I need to position myself in a way where I'm able to do all of those with the spirit of excellence, using every single thing that God has given me to do so. Because that in and of itself not only assures that my family and every generation that comes after me is established and secure, it also glorifies God, because I didn't make him out in my life to be a lie. Like, God, you're given everything you've given me, all the talents, all the time, the wife you've given me, and everything else. You should have given it to someone else. You made a mistake, because they would have done more with it. That has to be our motivation. How do I steward better with what God has given me? How do I glorify him by doing it?
Right. In today's message, what we have been discussing again was the carryover from last week. This is undoing bad habits.
Mm-hmm.
And you see a QR code in the screen, it will take you to a book called Slingshots. There's a chapter in there that talks about confrontation is the seed for change. You want to change bad habits, you must confront them. You want to change things about your life, you must confront it.
Yeah.
You want to change your life, you want to change your business, you want to change your relationships, you must confront it.
Right.
That's not always fun, that's not always easy. In fact, most of the time it is not. Yet, nothing gets swept under the rug and just goes away.
Right.
It will come back out, and that ball of dust, that ball of shame, that ball of misery will be much larger when you don't confront it as it comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Kill the dragon when it's small.
Right.
You know, you have an issue, you have a challenge, you have something that seems to be beating you down. Attack it now while it's a baby dragon. Go ahead and eliminate it. Get rid of it. Get rid of that bad habit. Get rid of whatever the situation is. Because when you allow that bad habit, that baby dragon to grow, and it becomes a big, huge dragon that's, you know, we've all seen the dragons in movies and Disney shows and everything. They get bigger than your house.
Right.
How are you going to confront that?
Mm-hmm.
But yet, if it's small and you can control it and you can maintain it and you can destroy it, get rid of that bad habit. In this situation, the dragon, get rid of it now.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let it continue building up. Don't let it continue growing. Don't let it continue getting size. Destroy it now. Review it. Review what you're wanting to do. Replace your negative with positive.
Mm-hmm. Reinforce the things that you have reviewed and replaced with truth, and you reinforce those things consistently in your life, intentionally in your life, and it requires sacrifice in your life and in obedience to the principles that you have now replaced the lie with. So, and the last one is to repeat these things, like wash, rinse, repeat,
Right.
wash, rinse, repeat. Well, like we'll do that quicker with our clothes than we will with our life, you know, and we have to repeat that same process. Like I'm going to use this because it just came to my mind now. When we are washing clothes, what do? We sometimes you may not be sure if they're dirty. If you know, because you'll lay something down sometimes, you don't know if I want it, whether I just tried it on. So what do? You review it. You look at it. Is this thing dirty? Okay. If it is, what do I need to do? I need to replace it with something clean. You know, so I need to take this thing and then put it in the wash. I need to go put it in or in the dirty clothes or wherever you need to put it. And then you want to clean it. Well, the only way to clean it is to put it in there, and then you're intentional about cleaning something. You have to put something in there with it. You have to pour detergent in. You have to add water to it. You have to set the right temperature. All those things. All this is a process after I reviewed it, and I replace it with something that's clean.
Right.
The truth. Take the lie, get rid of it. Replace it with something that's truth. In this situation, it's a shirt. It's clean. And then now, how do I reinforce the cleaning? I have to put it in something that agitates it. You know, I put a shirt in there, and it doesn't just one time. It agitates it in the washing machine. I know it look like I'm dancing. It agitates it in the washing machine, and it cleans it. But it consistently does that till all the dirt is gone. But we have to do that with our habits.
That's right.
Consistently until all of it's gone. And then at the end, you repeat. It goes through these cycles: wash, rinse, wash, rinse, wash, rinse, and then when it's done, it's clean. That's the process. We have to go through that process with our life. We have to send our bad habits through through a wash, in essence, where we look at the habits,
Right.
where we replace them where they need to be, and I say replace them where they belong, and then we reinforce it, we agitate it, and then we repeat the process in the end. And all of our habits, not just one, but all of them get done that same way. Every shirt, that same way. Every pair of pants, that same way. Every bad deed, every bad thought, all these things, that same process where we have to review, replace, reinforce, repeat. Like that's how I saw it when you were saying it. I saw a lot of stuff, but I don't want to turn into a second episode right this second. But there's a lot more about gestating bad habits.
Right.
You know, gestating a bad habit. If you talk about letting it grow, the size of it, and letting it grow. what happens? It gestates, it gets bigger, it
Mhm.
increases in size. What is bad habits that reach full turn? Failure. That's what a failure is. It's a series of bad habits that have been allowed to grow and increase in size until you give birth to failure.
Mm.
That's what that is. Deal with it while it's small.
Deal with it while it's small. And when you have given birth to quote unquote failure, we all know that fail means first attempt in learning.
Mm,
So go back, reattack it, redo it,
yep.
and conquer it.
Amen.
Hey, we've enjoyed you being with us on this episode, part 2 of Undoing Bad Habits here at Hustle Faithfully. Make sure that you join us and subscribe at youtube.com/at Hustle Faithfully and follow us on all of the major podcast streaming platforms. We're on all of them.
Yes.
So go follow us and tune in next week. We have another very exciting guest with us
Yes, we do.
this upcoming Tuesday. The one, the only, Mr. Jim Britt.
Amen.
This man is a multi-time best-selling author. He has also worked alongside of Jim Rohn and Tony Robbins. He is a powerhouse, and he has some amazing stories to share with you.
Yes,
So make sure to join us at the channel of youtube.com/at Hustle Faithfully, as it will be dropping Tuesday morning at 7:00 a.m. We will also see you back here again next Thursday for another episode with Ricardo and myself as we bring you another inspiring word. Remain blessed and unstoppable. We'll see you Tuesday.
See you guys.